All right, you guys, welcome back to Crosshill Resellers. Today I want to focus on simplifying essentially more of a home-based inventory. And of course, we got feedback here. Let me turn that off. Today I'm going to focus on simplification of an inventory management system. And this really can carry over to many different facets from home-based businesses. I would truly utilize this program for inventory numbers up even into the 5,000 range. So, give a little bit of a background. I've been in and around business for the better part of 3 decades. Worked from small home-based businesses to essentially working for small mom and pop shops to multi-billion-dollar corporations. In that time, in these years, I've spent a majority of that time in inventory management, essentially. And through many different facets of inventory management, essentially overall shrinkage control. One of my positions working in a multi-billion-dollar corporation was ensuring that we would mitigate and reduce any sort of loss or potential of loss, essentially through mitigation, of course, of theft, but also through operational and procedural verification. So there's many different methods, of course, that you can use from online now, especially with many different sources that we have now literally at our fingertips right on our phone. What I can tell you, essentially, if you're working a home-based business, small house, that sort of thing, which I'll get into, just some basic, keep it simple, stupid, essentially the KISS method is what I've lived by. And I'll give a little bit of backing behind that as well. Versus using other type of inventory management systems. You can, of course, you can purchase, you can use technological advances when it comes to scanning barcodes and that sort of thing. Really, consistency and redundancy is absolute key. And one of the things I feel that many mess up with when it comes to overall inventory management is just from the standpoint of losing track. If there device fails, especially if you're focused on technological type of inventory management, meaning you're utilizing a scanner. I'll grab one of those here in a second and show you what I mean. You can use your phone. There's barcode systems. There's so many different options out there. And really what it comes down to is the index method. So essentially, getting right into it. This is by far one of the simplest things that you can do. And truly, if I had anywhere in upwards of even 5,000 items in my inventory, I wouldn't change because I was that guy. So we had companies that would come in. I'm not going to mention specific names, but you could utilize an outside company coming in, of course, to control and do your inventory. So anybody that's worked in any sort of big box retailer will understand, especially once a year, you do a big inventory. And again, just to refocus and reiterate, one of my jobs was to ensure that inventory was done properly. So I worked in a big box company, and we had almost $27,000 in loss just in consumables alone, and that wasn't based on theft. What that was based on was an operational and essentially typing error. So technology in that instance did not prevail. I had to go through and actually manually determine the causation, which happened to be a simple typing error. So if you've ever seen anybody come in, they have those little side units and they're just typing like crazy. They're scanning shelves or scanning items. You probably have gone into a store and you look at the big gondola features. Within those features, you'll see some pre-inventory management that they already have into place and that sort of thing. So really taking it back to the basics before you had all of this technology and all of these advancements is complacency can really damage your overall reputation. Especially it can create negative defects, meaning within your business, whether if that be eBay, if that be your own website, if that be your own small shop. And again, redundancy is absolute key as well. So having more than one form of inventory management is also important. So what I like to utilize personally, and I've tried many different methods within my home-based business, and this is the one that I truly find myself where you're not getting complacent, you're not relying on technology, You're really just bringing it back to the basics. And what I have here, if I can show you, is essentially this side here is your SKU, item description, your cost of goods, purchase date, and then the location for which it was purchased at. So I'm just going to grab an item, and this little Santa Claus here, this little decorative, cute little Santa Claus, you'll see on the bottom of that, I have a SKU, a simple number. So you probably have heard of, or maybe have utilized if you have your own home-based business or that sort of thing, is a numerical or alphanumerical type of system. What I have found versus doing alphanumerical, let's say A100, AA100, AB100, so on and so forth, is what I like to utilize is a categorical system. So if you can imagine, you have shelving systems, bins, totes. That is something that we'll go into at a later time on a different video. Really, this whole basis and the premise behind this information is really focusing on the simplification and keeping yourself grounded when it comes to understanding inventory management to mitigate those defects within your business. What would correlate to that, if you can imagine, let's say I have a shelf, for instance, or even a bin system, totes, boxes, whatever the case might be, I have this little clipboard. You could also enter that into a spreadsheet system, however you want to manage that. It's just nice because I can go around as I'm listing my items. Again, for instance, on eBay, whatever you're doing, the SKU will then correlate to a number on here. So rather than doing alphanumerical, I just do a straight numerical system with a categorical system. And what I mean by that is, for instance, on the shelving units. So on the shelving units, I will have one category, let's say, for home decor, another category for could be electronics, it could be accessories, it could be personal items. Whatever works best in your needs in your specific business. And then essentially what I would do is, let's say my next number is 723. So rather than starting over, I just continue going from, let's say, 100, wherever you want to start. You could start at 1, and then you work your way up from there. So I would just simply write the number on here. Obviously, we have way more inventory than that, but let's just use this as pretend. Let's say the next item I'm listing is $358. What I would do is simply put on my little index card here. You get those at the dollar store. Super, super effective and yet cost effective. Is I would simply put $359, and then at the top of my card, I might write something like that. Home decor $359. I'm gonna put $359 on here. Item description. Like that. So $359, what the item description is, your cost of goods, your purchase date, and then the location for which it was purchased. And then let's say you end up selling the item. What you do now is you do nothing with this. You can, if you want, you can have opportunities. I suppose they're endless in what you want to do as far as adding different sections and that sort of thing. This, for us, is by far what has maintained 100% accuracy. 100%. Okay? Again, redundancy is key. So what I would do is, let's say I go to my place of inventory management, shelf, bin, whatever the case might be. Once we know that we have sold that item and pulled it physically from inventory, it's now coming off from my card. All I'm going to simply do is cross out. What this will now do is, this is what I recommend. Obviously, if you have a smaller store, a bigger store, I would, at no more duration than you should be doing essentially every 3 months. So quarterly, on the calendar, you should be doing inventory. I would say at least a minimum of every 3 months. So if you utilize eBay, whatever system it is, we have other software that I can get into later on that helps with, expenses and all of that sort of stuff, which also helps in this process. all I have to do is go to, let's say, one of the shelves where we keep a lot of various home decor items, glassware items, that sort of thing. Rather than sitting here correlating what I see on here to, okay, did we miss something? As long as I know that I'm maintaining this little index card system, that simple. If I notice, let's say there's, let's just, for example, I have 400, 403, and 415. Okay. Let's say this whole index card is full. We just tape them on there. Um, really that simple. You just keep adding 2 more index cards if you need it. Again, I just put home decor just as an example. That just tells me the categorical system that I'm using. Then what I would do is, let's say this whole card is full of various SKU numbers. However, 15. So what I would do as I do my inventory, I'm actually creating a new index card as I inventory. As you can imagine, same situation, redundancy. I'm then writing down the numbers as I'm going through my entire shelf in what have you. Writing down all the SKUs because I use basic painter's tape, masking tape, something that don't leave a residue. And I highly recommend, again, very effective. It goes a long way with a little Sharpie, a pen. Again, pretty straightforward. Is, let's say at the end of that, there is 400, 403, and 450, let's say, that I need to now verify. So if I notice potentially in discrepancies, maybe an item got shifted to that shelf that shouldn't be there, maybe an item is, showing in the inventory, that's where reconciliation comes in. So you then correlate that to your eBay store, to whatever software that you're utilizing. The actual inventory software that you're using for your listing platform. Hopefully that makes sense. Once I've reconciled and I determine, okay, 400, 403, and 415 is still on the card. However, the items are not on the shelf. Did they get moved somewhere else? So once you've gone through all of your inventory, I recommend a left to right flow through concept. So we start always from the left and you work your way around. Really is that simple. And then that way you don't lose track. Start from the uppermost point, work your way down. So you're snaking like this, if that makes sense. From left to right, you're starting top, you're working your way down, back up to the top, back down, again, left to right. So I've now noticed, okay, I checked that shelf. We checked everywhere else. Why am I still noticing, these SKUs on the card? However, doesn't correspond to the items. Oftentimes, what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is the SKUs that are still left on the index card. Chances are those were either pulled as a defect, they were pulled, you marked them out, maybe you've been sitting on them for a year, 6 months, whatever your duration is. I'm not a fan of leaving stuff on there. Mark it out of stock, donate it. If it doesn't move, it doesn't move. That's another topic. 9 times out of 10, that's what ends up happening is either it was sold and you just forgot to remove it from the card. Maybe it got misplaced. It really, just keeping it simple, stupid, by far, for us, is the best. And again, truly, if I'm in that neighborhood of anywhere from 1 item up to about 5,000 items, believe it or not, I'm sticking with this system. Now, when you start getting bigger than that, of course, there's some other protocols in that place. But this really is designed around home-based businesses, small businesses. If you run out of a small shop, you run out of your garage, your basement, your home, whatever the case might be. You don't need to go out and spend a bunch of money on a bunch of unnecessary software. But at the end of the day, you do what's best for you and your business. That's what I always say. Disclaimer I should have left at the very beginning of this video. If something works for you, it's one of those things. If it's not broke, there's no need to fix it. So if you've already been using something, it's been working for you well, then I would just encourage you to continue doing it. I'm just telling you, if you're tired of using software, if you're tired of spending a bunch of unnecessary money, maybe just look at this. Maybe give it a try. Use this as a little bit of insight and inspiration where you come up with a little bit more creativity. You can literally do this through just Google Sheets, print these off, and then that's what we do. And then when I need to go back, if I have an issue, again during inventory, if I'm looking for an item, and let's say I forgot to add the SKU within my, again, being predominantly on eBay, if I happen to forget to add that SKU and I'm like, crap, where was it? I can refer back again to this redundancy. And then it helps me just determine, okay, where's it at? Because time is of the essence, of course. I value my time, especially as a business. I would hope that you guys value your time. Because if you put a value monetarily on your time, that is the most important thing. There's only so much time in the day, and you have to be efficient. So again, efficiency is key. You do what works best, obviously, in your business. We want to just provide a little bit of insight and inspiration. Hopefully, this provided a little bit of insight, maybe something of food for thought, maybe something that you haven't tried. Maybe you've been focusing on, again, different apps, different variations. Maybe you found something that works perfect for you. I will grab that scanner, as I mentioned a little bit ago, just to give you an idea what I'm talking about. Obviously, you can use your phone. They have different QR code systems, if that is something that interests you more. That is not the video here that we're going to be discussing. So to recap, index cards, Sharpie, a pen, and either painters. I prefer painters tape. I just ran out of it. This I have no issues with. However, it goes a long way, and we use that for a number of different things when it comes to marking stuff. And then just a basic, simple sheet, something like that. Again, SKU, item description, cost of goods, purchase date, and location for which it was purchased. Just that then helps when we're ready to do backlogging in our software system for taxes and that sort of stuff. Then you can go back. And again, I'll discuss that. There's a wonderful software program out there. Obviously, it comes at an expense. But again, I'm not going to discuss that in today's video. So give me one moment. I will share with you real quick what I mean by a scanner. So actually just sold one of these not too long ago. I'm holding on to this one, but these are the Neptune scan. They are a nice little unit. You can go right online. Comes with that. Sorry. Want to flash it in your eyes. So, and then it just goes right down here with a little Type-C adapter. But it's not about trying to advertise things today. We don't have any more of these for sale right now, but again, these not being sponsored by, paid for by, nothing like that. They have a lot of positive feedback. They work good. But that's what I mean as far as like a scanner. So in the big box stores, you might refer to it as an RMU, which is a radio maintenance unit, much more advanced, obviously, than something like this. So if you guys have any questions for me, please let me know in the chat if you're watching this in the replay. This will probably be edited down and uploaded either in a short or something of that fashion. So we'll give it a couple of minutes here, and then we'll be wrapping things up. But I encourage you guys to ask any questions if you have any at all. So this is what we plan on doing moving forward, and continuing to do a lot of different educational stuff, especially from shipping, from defects, from damages, from different protocols that we use. If you unfortunately had to make a claim based on an item, let's say, for instance, it showed up, it's showing up, hey, the item was delivered. The customer indicates that that they never received it. oh boy, what do you do? Okay, you've already filed a claim, you've gotten denied. Okay, we're here to try to help you through that process, to not get discouraged with that process. Again, there's no affiliation that we have with any specific carrier. It's just the knowledge and insight that we have acquired over the years from doing this for a long time that we want to share with you guys here on the YouTube platform and various social media platforms. So again, this channel is going to be geared around various aspects of education, not just regarding reselling, but also many different facets that kind of branch off from that. So hopefully better your guys' lives and provide a little bit of insight and inspiration and humor along the way. So with that being said, you guys, I don't see any comments here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Stay tuned again to the community section here on Crosshill Resellers and other various social media platforms for any information that we have. That is the way that we are going to be communicating that with you guys, is through the post section on our landing page of the YouTube channel. If you're not aware of what that is, just go to any YouTube channel and it should use the word or say the word post. That's what I refer to. It used to say community, now it says post. Go to that. That's where we're going to have all of our communication for any upcoming live streams. If there's an impromptu, we have any video, if we have any information, any deals, what have you, we'll be listing those there. Speaking of that, check out all of our links below. Check out the About section. You can check out that. So on occasion, especially now being in the fourth quarter, we oftentimes will send out offers and various discount codes, especially to subscribers. With that being said, you guys, you have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you learned something from this. Let me know down in the comment section below if there's something in the future that you would like me to share and or discuss regarding this manner or something else to help maybe better your lives when it comes to reselling or small business. Have a great day.